I'm going to be interviewing Andi. Now, I really didn't want to make myself look like an idiot. I normally do it so easy. How do you correctly pronounce your surname? I knew I would get it wrong. Say that again in slow motion. Lawrencovna. So it's more of an S than a C sound. I would have got it completely wrong. Lawrencovna. I'm so glad I asked you and didn't just try and attempt that, because I would have got it so wrong. I've been practicing before I connected with you. I was there for like 10 minutes, and I wouldn't have even guessed that. Lawrencovna. That is a beautiful name. It sounds so. I've got to be honest. It sounds like you should be an author or like a doctor, like a top surgeon or something like that. It's lovely. No, it's lovely. I bet your handwriting is so much better than a doctor's anyway. Oh, oh, fantastic, fantastic. Sorry, everybody who's watching, I've still got allergies. My eyes are still streaming. My nose is still running. So I'm sorry, Andi, but I'm literally like this all the time at the moment. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, so pleased to have you here. And when I started Googling you, I was so chuffed because you're a fantasy writer. I love fantasy. I love fantasy. I love the fact that authors like yourself can take us to somewhere completely different.
I had to go with fantasy.
Do you know what? I just realised, I'm sorry, Andi. I just realised I didn't click a button, and all of a sudden you've just popped up because I clicked it.
Interesting. I don't know what that means, but I'm in.
Everybody can see both of us at the same time now.
Oh, lovely.
So my mistake. I'm sorry, Andi.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, at least everybody knows that we're genuine and we're not actors or something.
I mean, that's true, right?
So let me ask you, Andi, how long have you been actually writing? How long has it been?
So since high school, I guess. I mean, professionally, as in publishing, it's not. I think I published my first story in 2014, but I started writing in high school. So yeah.
That's amazing. But what inspired you at school then to actually start writing?
I read some amazing authors when I was in grade school. I probably shouldn't have been reading those authors in grade school.
Join the club.
Oops. So I read them and I just fell in love with the way that words work together, and I just really started playing with words, and I loved writing stories and making up my own characters and falling in love with characters, which I think is one of my favorite things. So that's why I do it, and I did it, and that's how I got started, I think.
That's fantastic. So when you was at school, did you have any teachers that, you know, encouraged you, or family members, anybody who encouraged you or inspired you?
Well, see, my freshman year of high school, I accidentally printed out a 300-page document at the school printer. I meant to hit save, and I hit print instead. It didn't go over well with our librarian. She was not happy with me. So I asked her, I said, you know, after she gave me this huge giant packet of paper back, to my English teacher, I was like, hey, would you mind reading this? Which she promptly put underneath her card and said, yeah, I'll get to it. I'm like, okay, cool. But I had a great time. I had really amazing teachers, especially in grade school. I was in something we have, I don't know if it's nationwide or not, but in my area we had, it's called Power of the Pen. And it was a writing competition. So fiction, nonfiction, poetry, everything that was part of it. And you had like 30-minute sessions and you went and wrote as much as you could. And then you were graded on it. And it was really intense and intimidating for a high school student, but so much fun because you got to experience it and you got to do what you loved and you got credit for it and were being encouraged about it. And it was an awesome experience. I love Power of the Pen. And that's really what pushed me forward into writing and everything too.
That's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love all these, especially now, obviously social media and, the internet's huge. I mean, yes. I'm going to show my age right now. It's really embarrassing. But when I was a teen, the internet was just starting. Oh my God, I feel so old now. I've just said that.
What do you mean? It hasn't always been there? I'm just kidding. I'm totally messing with you.
I've just had a flashback to when one of my kids came up to me when they were younger and said, Mummy, in the olden days, wheels made of stone and stuff like that.
Oh
I just had those moments. But with the internet and everything, anybody can literally get all this information about competitions, and all these different experiences, his writing conferences and everything like that. It's just amazing how many opportunities that can create for authors like us.
It really is. And it's so great to be able to encourage children to love to write and to love to read. We're so focused on science and math, and those are great. We need those. But literature really helps you develop your emotions and lets you access your emotions. And so when I had wonderful teachers, like I said, who encouraged you to read, encouraged you to fall in love with your books, and I cannot say enough for them. They were the best part of my education.
I'm just going to quickly say hello because I don't know how I've done it.
I actually see him on the side here.
Yeah. So hello to Jamie. Jamie says, hi, both of you. Sending love out to you and your amazing books. Oh, bless. Can't stay long, but here to say hi. Hi, Jamie. Thank you for joining us, darling. It's all right. You can share afterwards. and then we got somebody else, and you are Suleiman Farsak. I hope I've pronounced that right. I do not mean any offense if I haven't, because I'm terrible. But hi, thank you for joining us. Well, welcome.
I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just going to let you handle the names because I'm also horrible at them.
I'm terrible. I'm not. I'll be honest. I am not a really well-traveled person. I've been to places. Don't get me wrong. I went on a lovely cruise that was free. Thank God. Earlier, but I didn't really get to stay very long, and obviously, converse with people.
Yeah.
So I'm terrible. But get back to the groups. I think they're a fantastic advantage, and especially if you're self-published, it's a great way of getting noticed. Now, I see you actually work with a publishing house. Is that like a small press, or how did all that come about for you and your books?
So, I did publish with a small press when I first started out. I'm now mostly self-published since I haven't published with them in a while. My fault, not theirs. They're totally awesome. I've just fallen way behind on everything. Something like life or whatever. It got in the way. It's fine.
And you work full time as well, don't you? So you're an author and you've got a full-time job, which is extremely common for authors when they're first going out. They're trying to juggle.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. I always laugh. I actually work with my dad, so it's fun. So I get to go to work with him and see him every day, and it's beautiful. But he laughs and he always says, "Oh, going home to your second job now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, my second job happens to be in a room, with a laptop on my legs, but whatever, it'll work."
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? But the beauty, I mean, don't get me wrong, anybody who gets published through a publishing house, fantastic. It takes so much of the work away from us, doesn't it? Because
it's a lot less pressure. To publish with a house, and
But the beauty of being self-published is that you do have complete control.
Everything.
You set your own deadlines and everything else. So how religiously do you set your timetables, or are you the type of author that just goes with the flow based on how your life proceeds?
I tend to go by the flow much more than I should. I think I actually have been trying to set more schedules for myself, and I do better when I have deadlines in front of me, I've noticed, just because if I have a deadline, I know I have to get something done, so I actually actively work towards that goal type of thing. I don't know. Time apparently is my enemy or is my friend, whichever the one it is. But I like having a deadline in front of me. That said, I didn't have, when I published with the small press, I didn't have a deadline for that really. So it was very laid back and a beautiful entry into the publishing world, either self-published or traditional published. I thought it was a wonderful experience to get through and get started in the business.
Yeah. So are you active with like writers groups and anything like that? You know, do you have a group that you're in with that help you with your own accountability of how much you write, you know, and your schedule and everything? Or
definitely. I'm super good about those groups. Oh my gosh, I hope they're not watching this because that would be so bad. I'm really, really good at, you know, helping. I love talking with other writers and reading like peer review. I think it's so helpful. Yeah. I think it'd be even more helpful if I actually, you know, turned in my work sometimes.
I know. It's a struggle. It is a struggle. Oh my gosh.
Deadlines. Maybe I should get on that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're here. You're here with us.
I did make that one.
Absolutely, and it's going to be invaluable to people. It really is. Sorry, I'm itching my nose again. Oh my god! I'll tell you, with the coronavirus going on, I'm going to be useless if it comes near our area because I'm constantly touching my eyes and my face and allergies.
And every time you do, I'm like, oh my god, it's like this psychological. I'm like, okay, my turn. It's good.
Oh my god, it's so weird. I never used to have allergies. It's only a recent thing, but never mind. So where does your inspiration come from your books? Because I know that you know you've got your series, haven't you? The Charming series, which is, you know, is it your interpretation or a different spin on the fairy tales? How is it?
I grew up as a Disney, you know, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, romance, happily ever after kid, and as an adult, I, you know, started reading Tolkien and George R.R. Martin and Harry Potter and all these stories that don't actually have that happily ever after in them. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, we need to fix these fairy tales. We need to give them a little bit of depth here. And so I really started writing Charming, which is Cinderella. If Cinderella was an assassin sent to kill the prince instead of, you know, marry him or run off from a ball with him. Yeah. Like I said, I fall in love with my characters. I think we as writers have to at least be a little bit in love with all of our characters, villains included. But I fell in love with them, writing them, and I just kept down the line and kept going with the fairy tales. So
that's fantastic. I mean, I honestly believe that, you know, you pour so much of yourself in your own books, don't you? And you're right, you do connect with your author, you know, with your characters in your books. You know, a couple of mine have got a complete mind of their own. But it's nice bringing them to life, isn't it?
It is. It's so much fun. And then where they take you, I don't know if you're a pantser or a planner. You know, do you write out your you know, what you expect is going to happen in chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line, or do you just go with whatever flows?
Right. See, that's very interesting you bring that up, because I wanted to talk to you about that because, as you know, when you first start out, you research, don't you? You Google, you read all these articles from people who've been there, done it, got the T-shirt. And, you know, you got some people who just say, go with the flow, just write, don't worry about anything else. And then you've got other professionals that say, you've got to, plot your book, make sure you know what's going to happen, and give yourself, some sort of guideline. Well, I've tried it both ways. Like many other people, because I didn't even know I was writing a book when I first started writing.
That feels about right for most of us, I think.
Yeah, it's just you start writing and then you're like, oh damn, I think I'm writing a book.
Yeah,
a lot of us have that moment. So with my first book, I completely just went with the flow because I had no clue what I was doing. The second one, I tried to plot out, and then my characters were like, we're just going to go and do this. So,
but I love looking at my plot outline and going, oh, that was cute. Oh, you thought that was, oh no.
That's such a good idea. But
it seems so good.
But I think you can have, you can either be one way or the other, or do a bit of both.
I agree 100%.
It's nice to not have anything set in stone, and I'm sure you found that, because I mean you've written 3 novels and 2 short stories, which are absolutely fantastic. So I'm sure you found that it may be different with each book.
It is. It really is. I know, like, personally for me, I started off as a complete pantser most of the time, and that's mainly because I don't necessarily always write in what would be a chronological order. So maybe one day I'll write the beginning, and the next day I'm somewhere at the end, and the third day, somewhere probably in the middle or back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I found though that I tend to back outline, if you will. Since I write series, they're all related. So I like to have my chronological order of what actually happened. So I do my outlines at the end, but I usually know what's happening while I'm writing.
Yeah.
I just don't have it written down anywhere.
Yeah. So. Do you find that as you're writing, you'll get the next part of the story just popping into your head, and it's just unwrapping itself in your mind?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. And I think that's one of the things that frustrates me most, honestly, because I'll be 5 steps ahead in my head with what needs to happen and still need to write what came before it way over there. And I'm like, come on, just be there already. I know what's happening. I want to see what comes next. But apparently readers want to know that. I don't know. It's weird.
It's crazy, isn't it? So when do you find that you get the most inspiration? Because a lot of us, including myself, I will wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning, half asleep, and oh my God, that's such a good idea. And I'll literally be getting my phone and typing it on my notes quick, just so I don't forget. Does that happen to you?
My favorite thing is, like the voice to text feature on our phones.
Yeah, I love that.
I love doing that at night when I'm half asleep, like woke up from a good dream and like, oh yes, I know what's happening. And then when I go to read it the next morning, it makes complete and absolute nonsense. That's one of my favorite things to do. But in the middle of the night, in the shower, in the car, when you don't have a pen available, that's really when I get my best inspiration, I feel like.
I know. And then trying to decipher what you've done. It's crazy.
I know it's going to sound bad, and I'm not crazy, I promise. I have had some amazing car conversations between characters before. Oh, brought myself to tears with these conversations, praying that I didn't get pulled over for talking to myself, because really, I'm not on the phone, officer. I swear. I just have 2 characters in my head, and then I'd probably end up in like the loony bin, but it'll be fine, I'm sure.
It's amazing what our characters bring out in us, really. It really is.
It really is.
Now, I've noticed, sorry, my eyes are just streaming. Your reviews are absolutely amazing, and you've accumulated a lot, which is absolutely brilliant. How you as an author, especially as a self-published author, what would you recommend to other authors who are starting out? How do you accumulate the reviews and the people reading and buying your book and everything?
I wish I had a better answer for you. Truthfully, apparently nowadays when I say apparently, I really mean the ly there. I have no idea, just, general hearsay. I guess the Amazon algorithm that knocks your book up requires you to have more reviews to it.
Yeah.
And if I knew how to get that number of reviews, I would be 100% trying to do that. My biggest thing is I am not a huge proponent of like asking for reviews. I know I should, and I need to do better at that. But I'm so kind of leery of, hey, here you go. What did you think? One, because I think as authors, we are very, hesitant to actually hear what people think.
Yes. Yeah.
About our reviews. But, I want people to enjoy what I write. I don't want them to feel obligated to write a review. And I hope that people who like it write a review because they like it. And I'm glad that the ones, that have written reviews have liked them. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I love to see from them. Oh,
see,
hi, Joanne. Joanne.
Hello, darling. Thank you for joining us. Now, I've noticed. See, I am a born saleswoman. I've been in sales since I was 17, and the one thing I've learned is that if you don't ask, you don't get.
And that's exactly true.
But there is a way to ask without asking, and that is by prompting. And I think as authors, especially as self-published authors, we need to learn to have the confidence of asking, but in a way that's prompting. Now
I would love to hear that conversation if you want to post that one, because that sounds great.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it now, because obviously, that's the idea of doing this interview for the Writers Rock group, to help each other, and that's the main thing. So asking while prompting is basically saying something along the lines of, thank you so much for following me. I can't wait to hear what you think of my books, and I can't wait to read your Amazon reviews.
Yeah, and it's subtle as engagement.
You're showing how grateful you are that they're showing an interest. You're showing how excited and how much you're looking forward to having their feedback and how important it is for you. When you reply to a potential reader, you can say, I would love to know what you think, because I value your opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had a message. Beth, your accent is lovely. Andi, miss ya, chickle. Oh, I love that.
We've gone to a couple conferences together, so
I'm not even going to ask what our little nickname's about.
Oh, I love Jolie.
Lovely to meet you, darling, and thank you. My accent just doesn't go. I just work from home, so it just doesn't go. It doesn't leave me.
Everybody loves your accent. Just by the way,
It's
lovely.
Because it's weird when you literally are hearing yourself talk. When you hear yourself back, it's just weird.
It really is very odd.
Anyway, so getting back to this, because it's really important.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I love when it's fun. It makes all the difference. But yeah, getting back to actually asking for reviews and everything, you can ask, but do it as a prompt instead. So you can actually have it in your books as well. At the end of your book, right at the end, when the story is still fresh in their mind, and they're like, oh, that was such a good book. Have it right there on the next page or whatever, or right underneath. I can't wait to read your Amazon review. I can't wait to read your feedback. And what I personally do, and bear with me and I'll quickly show you. Bear with me.
No, you're fine.
Right, and this is by no means a self-promotion, but just so you can see. Okay, so obviously we all have bookmarks.
Yep.
Okay, so what I do is if someone sends me a message and says, I've just read your book, I loved it, I say to them, I'm so thrilled, because I am. I mean, we are, aren't we? When we get feedback.
Oh my God, all the time.
Happy
it's like the best day ever.
happy dance around the kitchen or whatever. And I say to them, thank you so much for taking the time for letting me know. As a thank you for leaving an Amazon review, I will personally send you a signed bookmark as a thank you.
Which is a nice, good way to get people interested in you too. It's a great way to foster community.
Absolutely. And do you know what?
Readers and writers.
For authors like us, we get so many benefits from doing that. One, the reader feels fantastic for getting a thank you. Two, they're going to go away and tell their close friends and family, guess what? This author that I've just read, she's going to send me a signed bookmark because I wrote her an Amazon review. She wants to say thank you. So not only do they feel special and, you know, and appreciated, but they're going to tell everybody, which is self-promote. You know, they're advertising you.
Yeah, that's like a double whammy, if you will.
Exactly. And if they're a true bookworm, like a lot of our readers are, they will have your bookmark in their book and take that book everywhere chance they get. So when they get the book out, they've got your bookmark sticking out of it.
Yep. And I love that too. I mean, I have so many great stories of like the random way you meet readers. You know, oh wait, you wrote that? Oh my God. I just read that. It was, you know, and that's the perfect thing. I have to get better about carrying, like, you know, bookmarks and business cards with me. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
The other thing for self-published authors is flyers, because you can get a big pack quite cheaply nowadays, and have a load on you. And then when you're going out and about your normal business, if you see a local shop that has a poster for some other local event or something like that, go in, introduce yourself, say hello. You know, I'm a local author. I notice that you know you don't mind putting things up in the window. I would love some support if you wouldn't mind. Could you possibly put this up? I got about 5 or 6 local shops to put my flyer up in their front window. So as shoppers are just walking past, they're seeing my book covers.
So I have a question for you, and I don't mean to change topics on you. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Because I think that's a brilliant idea, actually, and I love going by and looking at those myself as a consumer at different stores. But you mentioned having your book cover on there. How important is it having a good book cover? You know, the whole don't judge a book by its cover.
So important. So important.
It really is, right?
It's so important because we're readers as well as writers.
Yes.
The first thing we do is look at the book cover.
Yep. Because
it's like judging a person by first impressions. You judge a book by first impression.
Yep.
And unless that cover pops out at you or catches your eye or looks really intriguing or interesting, you're just going to keep going.
Right. I was just curious about your take on it.
Yeah, it really, really does. And I'll tell you something very interesting from a personal point of view. So my first one, my colors were mainly like purples and blues and everything, which was great. You know, it did appeal to a lot of people, but because of my color choice of cover, it primarily attracted females.
Yep.
So I look at my statistics because I'm a salesperson. So I look at my sales, you know, what the demographics are, whether more females are buying than males, what age groups and stuff like that. So I saw that my books were primarily attracting women. More women were clicking on my posts and stuff than men. I thought, okay, I need to change that. I need to get some bit more diversity. So then I changed for these sort of colors.
Yes. I love the fiery colors. Yeah.
What a difference. All of a sudden, more men were starting to be more interested in my books. Because my books are more, well, they're for anybody, men or women. Obviously, some books that are written are more aimed at females and vice versa. So it's important, you know, not just the image on your book cover, is it? But also the colors that you pick, the font that you pick.
Yep.
If your font looks cheesy and doesn't match what's in the story, it's going to feel off.
And I love that you mentioned the color choices too, because not only does it go to represent, male-female dynamics, it also is really, really, really important to look at colors in terms of your genre as well.
Yes, absolutely.
We had a great one of our local libraries had a great author come in who gave a whole talk about cover design. And people, I think a lot of the authors who were there we were all invited to sit in on it because we were signing authors and whatever, but we're all sitting there listening and going, oh, actually that's really smart. We really should be thinking more about that. It's a really fascinating thing. It's not only, you don't just have to be creative about what you're writing and what's within the pages of your book, but you have to be creative enough to find somebody even more creative than you to do that cover for you.
Yeah. And I've got to say, your book covers are beautiful.
I love my cover designer. Yeah. Well, I gush.
Absolutely beautiful. So how did you find your book cover designer then?
100% luck.
Yeah.
Flaking off of my not real job. I would never do that. I hope nobody I know, I hope nobody talks about this to my boss or anything. I think I was like randomly just going around on Facebook one day, and somehow she was in a group that I had clicked on, like, oh, that looked interesting. And she had that cover, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, I need that, please. And I have fallen in love with her. She's amazing, and I wouldn't give her up for the world. So
yeah, and it makes a difference, doesn't it? I think, especially when other authors recommend somebody who's in the business, but as a self-published author, obviously, you've still got more, mortgage to pay, bills to pay, and everything else. The average writer doesn't have money to burn, and it's so hard balancing between finding somebody who will do really good quality work, but at a reasonable price that we can afford.
Yeah,
and it's a struggle.
And there are some amazing cover designers out there who work with us self-published authors primarily, and it's great. We get the treatment that publishing houses are getting for their clients who never even get to talk to the cover designer. We actually get to have that one-on-one conversation, and it really does kind of make you feel really special. Well, what do you want to see on your cover? Oh, I want this, and it's got to be like this. And they're like, okay, let's see what we can do.
Yeah. And it's tough, isn't it? It's tough trying to, the picture you have in your mind of what you want. Sometimes it's hard trying to explain that.
So hard. And I'm really lucky. I have two different amazing people that I work with for covers, and both of them are like, okay, here's my general idea. What do you got? And the stuff that they come up with blows my mind. It's just I cannot say enough for them.
That's amazing. It's amazing, and it's so lovely when you finally get your book. I'm sure you was just ecstatic when you first got your first published book in your hands. That feeling,
doesn't it? It has a smell, like that first published book of yours. Doesn't matter which one it is. It's.
I'm like that with every book I buy. As soon as I'm a book sniffer. When I buy a new book, I have to.
But you kind of have to,
It's like opening a new pot of coffee, isn't it?
So good. It's like, without books, I don't know what I would do. They have, they have a feel to them. The feel of the pages between your fingers. Oh,
yeah.
I love books.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. My bookshelf is currently overflowing, and I'm having slight issues with worrying that they're going to collapse, but I think we're okay.
I saw a post recently on Facebook that said it's not hoarding if it's books. I like that.
I don't think it is hoarding if it's books.
No, it's a collection. It's a small library.
Exactly. Because if you have a lot of books, you get to say, I have a library, and that's awesome. I feel like that's goals right there. That's my
Absolutely.
goal.
Absolutely. Now you've actually got qualifications in English and creative writing.
I do, yeah.
How much has that helped you? I mean, do you feel like it's given you any advantage?
You know, yes and no. It depends on how you're going to look, how you want to look at it. I haven't pursued a teaching career yet. I think that's something I want to do in the future. I've just wanted to focus a bit on getting my work out there first. I
Yeah.
actually really do love working with new authors and helping them, you know, structuring story, plot, thinking about, you know, where do you go after it's written? What do we do now? Which I think was 110% gained from an MFA. It really teaches you to look beyond not just the words on the page, but to, you know, the lyricism of those words. What are you trying to say? What sound are you trying to make with the words that you're writing on the page? What's the overall effect that you're going to look at? I guess the only downside for me really is now every time I read a book, I kind of like, oh, I wonder how they managed to do that. And I lose part of my enjoyment from the book because I'm like, okay, well, now I got to figure out how they did that. So let me just reread that again.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And because I have found from personal experience that I've read books and as I've been reading, there comes certain points where I sort of stumble over the words a little bit.
Yep.
It just doesn't flow. When you're editing your work,
yeah,
how do you do that? Do you have any specific ways of checking your own work? And I'll give you an example because I was told that when I'm editing, to edit, go to a different device because it's just laid out differently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it actually helped. I actually noticed more of my errors just because I went to a different device and the setup was different.
I imagine I would think that is 100% true, just because I know from personal experience, especially we as a writer reading our own work, we miss the words that we miss. You know, oftentimes I find that there's a the or a to that should be there. That's not because I read it as there because I know it should be there and I just don't see it. The one thing I was always told, and the one thing I really do love, and this goes back to what we were talking about writers groups too, when you can read a story out loud, even if you're just reading it out loud in your room to yourself, or if you're reading it to a group, which actually is oftentimes better because you kind of pick up more things with it.
I agree with that 100%.
You know, reading it out loud, though, lets you feel and hear that cadence that you're creating with your words, as well as what words aren't working there. That stumble step of the words in there that you're getting. And reading works out loud really helps with that. Of course, I'm sure, as you know, writing fantasy and science fiction, we make up a lot of words. And so reading those words out loud is even more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think one of the very good tip as well is Microsoft Word now has the facility where you can hear your computer reading your work.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but it doesn't flow as it like a person would, but it is quite a good indicator if you've put a comma or something in the wrong place.
Right. I do love that feature. That is true.
Yeah, having somebody else do it, that's quite good. And obviously anybody who's got, you know, a willing audience, as you said, it's quite nice if you can read your work to them.
Yeah.
Because if you're reading them, one, you get feedback from that person to say, yeah, you know, I can picture it. I'm following the story, whatever. But as you said, you can make notes, you know, within a safe space of what you want to change and stuff like that. It does help.
It does. And I found, though, that even from the perspective of reading somebody else's work, or listening to somebody else read their work, it's really helpful for you as a writer too, because you looking and being able to critique somebody else makes you aware of things to look for and critique in your own work.
Absolutely.
And I find that, like, if you don't, one, it requires you to learn how to take criticism, which as authors, it's one of those things that we also have to learn to be aware of, and we're going to get it. And if you're doing it with a group of people, like-minded people who are there to see you succeed and not to hit you down, 100% better, like that just amps it up for you. But having that ability to critique and be critiqued in turn really enhances your abilities as a writer also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when I was asking you if you'd be willing to do the interview and everything, you very, very kindly gave me a media kit. Now, before I started writing, I had no idea about media kits and anything like that, but it's such a good tool. Now, basically, so for anybody who's watching that doesn't know, a media kit basically is basically everything you need to know about an author. So it's your your profile picture that you would normally use associated with your books. Then you've got all your links, your website, author pages, book details. It's a fantastic tool, isn't it?
So I had no idea what a media kit was when I first started out. I was like, what's that? I had a friend who was starting out on the self-publishing journey the same time with me. And she was, God bless her, she knew what she was doing because she was much more sales-oriented than I was. And she's like, no, you have to have this, and it should include this because this is what you need to be giving to people when you want to give interviews and everything so that they have information on you.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I should probably do that. And I've kind of tried to keep it up. And like you were saying, it keeps your bio. I think I add way more than I need in there, but it also serves me because I use it as kind of my, okay, what all do I have that I can easily accessible for me to find and send to other people. So I put all my books and their ISBNs and, their especially now with the online media, I put the sales links to them so that I can copy and paste and find them really easily for myself, and whoever I give it to can find them really easily also.
Yeah, it's fantastic tool, especially if you're, releasing a new book and you want to, announce it to media and stuff. Now we have a question, okay, from your wonderful friend. Reading out loud is the worst part of editing for me. I hated it in grade school. Not much of a fan of it now. A necessary evil though. And she's absolutely right.
So true, Julie.
Right. Most of us, it terrifies us, but do you know what? I think you've got to desensitize yourself.
Yeah.
Because as I said earlier, people buy you first and your product second. If they really, really like you as a person and an author, and you connect with people and you put yourself out there, you are more likely to get support, people buying your books, and people actually selling your book for you. And
100%, yeah.
That is the key thing. But I think it's just, as I said, desensitizing yourself. So the more you do it, the less daunting it is.
I think, and this is going to sound really out there, so you can totally say I'm wrong. I don't care. But I think also reading your own work helps you be able to talk about it as well. Because you might have written it. You might know the family history 14, generations down the line from here. But if you can't talk about what's in your story, and that comes from reading and reading your story out loud and everything, then that's not going to help you make those sales either. Because when you're talking to somebody, you need to be able to, exemplify that same way that you speak in your book to them, so they get that feel of what they're going to be picking up and reading too. So that might just be me.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And I think you've got to be confident, but also enthusiastic about your own book as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You want that to be contagious. You want them to feel your excitement about your story and you know what it's all
Yes.
about and everything else. And so, all right, confess, how many things do you carry on you to help you self-promote as an author while you're just doing life?
Not nearly enough. I have so many things that I can and should carry with me, but that I just don't have. I have my business cards all the time, so at least I'm getting better with those. And I'm usually carrying my laptop bag with me. So I think I usually have like stickers and my bookmarks in there. So I usually have something that I can give out and say, oh, you should totally check me out here. But never enough of what I need.
I know. I think maybe we should do a video or something, Q&A at some point on the Reader's Rock, maybe about what we as authors can do to self-promote and spread the word about our work and everything. I think maybe
that'd be a great, I think one of the things that at least I know me personally I struggle with is how to get to more readers. So lately, that makes no sense.
No, I got you.
So lately we've been going to a lot of different author events, and unfortunately with everything going on right now, a lot of those have been canceled. But, you know, when we get back going and everything, we'll have stuff there. But every author has bookmarks. You know, we all have bookmarks because it's a bookmark. Who doesn't love a bookmark?
Yeah.
Like, I have a collection of bookmarks that I just kind of like, oh, that's a pretty book cover. Oh, so pretty. Yes. It might just be me. But you know, what makes you recognizable and memorable, not rememberable. Oh my gosh. Memorable to your readers when you meet them at a different event, because it's not enough for them to just walk away with, oh, thanks, your bookmark in their back pocket when they have 50 others. It's what else can I do to make myself memorable to you, but also, especially like you were saying, for self-published authors, within budget. And I think doing a Writer's Rock forum on that would be amazing.
Yeah. But that also comes back to prompting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So anytime you meet a potential reader, or you do, you know, a book signing or a meet and greet or anything like that, it does come down to that prompt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so pleased to meet you. Thank you so much for coming. I can't wait to hear from you to find out what you think.
Yep.
Hit me up, join my website. I would love your feedback.
Yep.
You know, they join your website, you get to, you know, I'll see if they'll be interested in your newsletter. It's all about prompting without actually being
pushy
or feeling pushy. Yeah, because that is a big thing, isn't it, for everybody? I think in general is you want to ask for feedback, you want those reviews, you want those recommendations, but you don't want to feel pushy, because we're not, most of us, you know, I'm a complete extrovert, as you can tell. I just but many people write because they have a more introvert personality, but they've got all this imagination to express and a story to tell, but they find it difficult doing the middleman bit.
Yep. And pushing past that, I know, so I'm a very extroverted introvert. I was raised in a family where we talk to everybody, handshakes on first meeting, and doesn't matter who you are, that's just how we go. It's, you know, great. I love it. And I really love my personal time afterwards where I can just kind of cocoon myself in my own world. But to actually, like, to make those sales, to meet people, you have to put yourself out there. And it's not enough. Like you were saying, it's not enough to just say, hey, I'm an author, this is what I wrote. It's how do you make yourself likable? How do you make readers want to interact and want to engage with you? That's the key.
Absolutely. She put, I write better than I speak. I think most of us do, darling.
Yeah.
That's true with most of us. I really do. So what's on the cards at the moment? Because what was your newest release?
So I just put out, so I've been trying to do, I started this last year. It's my little pet project. I love it. It's a anthology project called Kaleidoscope Hearts. And
Ooh.
it's just different stories about love in all of its different shades and characteristics, you know, love between two people, finding love of yourself, just cover everything. So I just put that out, and it's like near and dear to my heart because it's like my baby project, you know, like it's the one I started. And then my own personal release I just put out called Tumbling After. So I do fairy tale retellings, and I've branched out to bring in a little mother goose to my fairy tale world. So I wanted to explore the nursery rhyme of Jack and Jill, because there's like nothing to it, and yet it's one of those, like, everybody knows the rhythm and the story of Jack and Jill. And so I wanted to give Jack and Jill a story. And so
I love that.
Yeah, so it went way different, like way more different than I thought it was going to go. I think it's heart-wrenching. Like, I kind of love where it turned out, but I'm like a dark person at heart, I think. So who knows? But I just think it's this beautiful story of not only having to, you know, overcome struggles that you're facing, but accepting others' love of you, even when you don't know how to accept yourself. So,
and do you know what? That's so profound, especially, I mean, with society today, there's so many people that struggle with those sort of issues.
Yeah.
So that's very, very intriguing. How exciting.
I really hope it comes through.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. So what's the sort of, what age groups are your books aimed for?
Okay, so again, totally skewed perspective here. I was reading these types of books when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, probably 16 and up or 18 and up. I don't know. 17. Let's go with 17 and up. That's probably the safest.
Okay.
The safest bet.
Fantastic.
I don't have anything like, you know, that's gonna like shock you really, but there are elements of romance, and I think fantasy in general has a very romantic type of language to it. But you know, it's fantasy, it's romance, it's exploring the darker issues of human nature within the concept of a fairy tale world. So, you know, when do we want our kids to grow up and grow out of fairy tales? I don't know. But
I think it's lovely because it's like you're continuing on the story and giving backstories to you know, what we already know. You know, that we read when we were kids. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to start reading them all. I tell you, because I love fantasy. I do. I absolutely love fantasy. Now, I know you've got a website and everything.
Yeah.
And people can actually sign up for your newsletter. So people need to check out these books because, as I said, I mean, most of us have been brought up reading all these fairy tales, and it would be lovely to read, you know, a more adult version with, you know,
a little oomph, a little
exactly. And what we deal with as adults. So that is absolutely fantastic. Andi, thank you so much. I've literally been talking your ear off for nearly an hour.
Oh, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
And it's just flowed by. I tell you, time just passes by. I think we got a few more messages on my phone, but I can't really check them without feeling rude. So they'll have to wait, unfortunately. So we are going to share this video for everybody else to see. Obviously, Andi's going to be sharing it on all her social media pages as well. So between us, hopefully you'll all get to watch the video.
I'll get it out there,
yeah, and hopefully we'll get some comments as well and questions and everything else. But if anybody does want to do another session, like a Q&A directly on the Writer's Rock group, then maybe we can do that and help all of us sort of with our self-promotional issues and getting ourselves out there and doing a bit of a session. But thank you so much, Andi.
Thanks for having me.
It was so lovely to meet you, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you again in the near future. And
I would love that. Thank you. This is great.
And talk about more of your new releases and stuff.
Coming soon. Always coming soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, darling. I'll speak to you soon, sweetheart.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, darling. Bye. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. This is for the Writer's Rock group. If you are, it doesn't matter whether you're just thinking about writing a book or whether you've already made a start or you've got books that are already published like Andi, please join and get some support. That's what we're here to do, is to help and support each other. Thank you so much for sharing our time, and we will speak to you soon. Bye.